Hello and welcome to the program today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin this week with stories and happenings that made headlines over the weekend.
On Saturday, hundreds of protesters took to the streets of Niger's capital to demand the departure of United States troops after the military government further shifted its strategy by ending a military accord with the U.S. and welcoming Russian military instructors. Marching arm in arm through central Niamey, the crowd waved Nigerian flags in a demonstration that recalled anti-French protests that spurred the withdrawal of France's forces from Niger last year after the army seized power in a coup. Protesters also expressed their support for the National Council for the Safeguarding of the Homeland Authorities. While chanting and marching, demonstrators held Nigerian, Malian and Russian flags, as well as listening to activists addressing the rally. Military officers were also seen participating in the event. Also on Saturday in Cameroon, the long-awaited historic museum of the Bamoun Sultanate, shaped like a spider and a two-headed snake, opened in the city of Fumban, representing a significant cultural milestone for the Bamoun people. Performers in colorful traditional attire sing and dance near the museum's entrance. The royal family attended the event dressed in traditional ceremonial attire, including bubus and fezes. The construction of the museum was launched in 2013, taking 10 years to be completed. Now, museum visitors can immerse into Bamoun Kingdom history through about 12,500 pieces, including weapons, pipes, and musical instruments. Over in Malawi, the Russian Orthodox Church baptized dozens of locals, with the organization reporting that nearly 1,000 people had joined the denomination. The ceremony took place in Lake Chilwa, Falombe district, which is on the border between Malawi and Mozambique, almost 100 kilometers from the city of Blantyre. 3 Russian church leaders joined their Malawian counterparts to conduct the baptism, while Constantine of Sarisk, while the patriarchal exarch of the Russian Orthodox Church in Africa was amongst them. The event was coordinated by the Patriarchal Exarchate of Africa.
To our main stories for today, several African countries are calling on Israel to show restraint, even as it decides whether to retaliate against Iran after its unprecedented aerial attack on Saturday night. In various statements released, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa and Somalia have called for restraint to avoid further escalation. The Nigerian Foreign Ministry urged Israel and Iran to reflect on the universal commitment to peaceful resolution of conflicts. Kenya's President William Ruto is urging Israel to show utmost restraint, taking into account the urgent need for all parties to walk away from what he calls the brink beyond which recovery will be enormously difficult. As for Somalia, the government is calling on the international community to take swift and decisive action to de-escalate the situation. While South Africa's Department of International Relations and Cooperation says all parties must exercise the utmost restraint and avoid any act that would escalate tensions in a particularly fragile region. Meanwhile, at the Iran-South Africa Expo in Johannesburg, delegates from both nations converged to explore economic opportunities and foster stronger bilateral relations. However, discussions were overshadowed as tensions escalated dramatically on the global stage when Iran launched a bold and unprecedented attack on Israel. The attack, in retaliation for a deadly Damascus strike, marks a significant escalation in the ongoing conflict. Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi cautioned against Israeli retaliation, warning of a stronger response. Our South Africa correspondent Innocent Samosa has more.
The discussion here is centered on trade, investment and cooperation in various sectors, reflecting a mutual commitment to deepen ties between South Africa and Iran. The South African government says the expo provided a valuable platform for networking and exploring potential business ventures.
Iran has been sanctioned for many years, but Iran is able to live within those sanctions. South Africa, if South Africa can learn to be able to be self-sustained, I think South Africa will be a great country.
However, amidst these diplomatic efforts, tensions reached a boiling point as Iran launched a bold attack on Israel. The Cultural Consular Embassy of the Islamic Republic of Iran in Pretoria, Saeed Mustafa, had this to say.
So from this kind of looking at the issue, anyone who does such a genocide, exile people from their land, as it happened in South Africa in the time of apartheid, is totally condemned. And if we look at our essence as a human being, we reject it. No need to just look at the policy on two countries or the name of different countries to mention it, oh, what happened. So I think all people, all the population of the world should condemn what is happening nowadays in Palestine without considering who are the both sides. Oppressors should be condemned and oppressed people should be supported.
The United Nations Security Council is set to convene an emergency meeting to address the situation and seek avenues for peace. As tensions remain high, the international community watches closely, hoping for a swift resolution to prevent further violence and instability in the region. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samosa, Channels Television News.
Today, April 15, marks 1 year since the war in Sudan broke out, even as the precarious conditions and lack of aid continues to push the country to the edge of famine. The war between the country's military, headed by General Abdel Fattah Burhan, and the Rapid Support Forces, commanded by General Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, has killed thousands of people and forced 8 million people to flee their homes to safer areas inside Sudan or to neighboring countries. According to the United Nations figures, South Sudan has received about 640,000 people seeking safety, including refugees and South Sudanese returnees, most of them returning home after many years. Over 1.8 million people have crossed borders to find safety in neighboring countries, namely the Central African Republic, Chad, Egypt, South Sudan, and Ethiopia. Well, back here in Nigeria, the country marks 10 years since the infamous abduction of hundreds of girls from their boarding school in Chibok, Borno State, in the northeastern region. It's an atmosphere of mixed feelings as former abductees, parents and relatives gather at the multi-purpose hall of the school to pray for the safe return of the remaining girls, over 90 of them. At the interfaith service of prayers, speakers expressed various reactions following the turnout of events since April 14, 2014.
Chibok, located in the southern part of Borno State, is about 125 kilometers from the capital, Maiduguri, at the heart of the Sambisa forest. On this day in 2014, female students of the then government girls' secondary school, Chibok, were abducted by Boko Haram terrorists and taken into the Sambisa forest. 10 years on, 179 of those students have either escaped or been released, but 92 of them remain unaccounted for. Several of the girls returned to their families as mothers, others as widows of late terrorists, very few lucky to return unmarried and or without children. Some of the parents were delighted to see their children on their return, regardless of their status. The others continue to wonder about the fate of their daughters. It was a free reign of emotions at the 10th year interfaith prayer service organized by parents of the abducted girls. Religious leaders and parents could not hold back their tears as various speakers recounted their ordeals and the efforts to get the remaining girls freed.
A lot of girls has been adopted in this country, you know. But why our own is so exceptional? Up to these days, we are still having a lot of them missing. That's what makes us so much annoyed, because of government give a series of promise that they will get these girls out.
There are so many efforts that my local government are doing to see that these girls are released. So many times we had security meetings, we challenge the militaries. We give them information.
Some of the parents of the girls still in captivity were in tears while recounting their experiences to Channels Television.
When the incident happened at that 14th April, in fact, we were all shocked. And even though we are still waiting to see how the government and even those that can help to see that this almost 10 years we didn't see our daughter, we are still praying for Allah to, go around the issue to bring them back for us alive.
I've been unhappy since I heard of our coming here, and I've been praying that our children return so I can also rejoice with others.
The Borno State government renovated and renamed the school to Government Secondary School Chibok 7 years after the abduction, turning it into a non-boarding school. The principal of the school, however, says discussions are ongoing to revert to the original status of boarding for both boys and girls.
The structure of the school has been expanded more than before, because currently we are having, in terms of every structure, we have enough. And in terms of the student, the population of students is also increasing, unlike the time when the school resumed. So really, the structure of the school is now fully in operation, and students and teachers are also okay with the system at the place that is Chibok. It's not a boarding school. We are operating on day basis.
To ensure the safety of the school, the Brigade Commander 28 Task Force Chibok, Brigadier General Bede Amako, sheds more light on the extra measures taken.
Efforts are being made at various levels, from the federal to the state, and especially in the military hierarchy, to make sure that we do all within our powers to make sure that these girls are out.
According to statistics released by parents of the abducted Chibok girls, 271 students were abducted on that unfortunate day. But 57 girls escaped shortly after in 2014, while 103 were released through the interventions of the federal government, and 20 others were released by the efforts of the state government. But 92 students still remain in captivity.
Continue in Tanzania. The government says nearly 60 people have died since the start of April in heavy rains and flooding that has hit several parts of the East African country. The coastal region is one of the worst affected, with floods damaging thousands of farms. According to government spokesperson Mabare Matinyi, 58 deaths have been recorded across the country from the flooding. April marks the peak of Tanzania's raining season, and this year has seen the heaviest rainfall of recent years. The deluge has also led to the deaths of at least 13 people and displaced some 15,000 in neighboring Kenya. Now, this is all as a result of the El Niño weather phenomenon, which has worsened this year's seasonal rains. Over in the Democratic Republic of Congo, a landslide in the southwest region caused by heavy rains has killed at least 15 people and left as many as 60 others missing. However, local officials say 7 people were found alive after the landslide on Saturday near the port in the town of Idiofa. A rescue team has been dispatched to help search for more survivors. Authorities say it is difficult to determine the exact number of people missing. because the area is used as a marketplace every Saturday. The official described the area as a port where fishermen sell their goods. Now, Chad's interim president, Mohamed Idris Deby, has started campaigning for the presidential elections meant to restore his country to democratic civilian rule. He will face 9 other candidates in the poll scheduled for the 6th of May, including the junta-appointed Prime Minister, Success Masra. At his first campaign rally in the capital in N'Djamena, he pledges to strengthen security and guarantee Chad's peace and stability. Mr. Deby initially promised an 18-month transition to democratic rule after he seized power in 2021, and that was following the death of his father. But he later postponed the elections until this year, triggering protests that were violently suppressed by security forces. Mr. Deby is widely expected to win the election, in which some opposition politicians have branded a farce. The ECOWAS Commission has sponsored the training of 150 youths on fish production business in Anambra State in Nigeria. According to the Commissioner for Economic Affairs and Agriculture, this is in line with the implementation of the Commission's strategy to empower youths in the aquaculture sector for a shared prosperity, inclusive and sustainable development.
Then this is in the second week. This is in the third week.
A team from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, representatives of the Anambra State government, trainers and trainees are inspecting fish ponds on the grounds of the Anambra State Polytechnic used to train youths in fisheries and aquaculture.
Go ahead. Okay.
The training is part of the Commission's strategy to empower youths in aquaculture for a shared prosperity, as well as inclusive and sustainable development.
So as you can see, this was stocked in the first month, in the first week of the training. Then this is in the second week. This is in the third week.
Explanations are given on the processes involved and the training outcomes.
This table fish production, we applied or employed a systematic approach. It's not like the normal fish farmers we do have outside. This system, we call it temporary system, where we adopt different standard operating procedures in everything we do, starting from the water management, the feed management, the fish stocking, and also the management of the fish in terms of grading and sorting.
The ECOWAS Commission team is led by the Commissioner for Economic Affairs and Agriculture, who appears to be satisfied with the practical training in table fish production.
We had strategy. It's good to have strategy. It's good to have policy. But at the point of time, you need to implement. You need to empower youth and women. And the strategy that we had was aligned to the vision of shared prosperity for the community.
Some of the trainees share their experiences and dreams.
To me, this is the best training that I've ever been to. It was not just coming into class and they would just be talking. We actually practicalized the whole thing. Me that I'm not from Mbaku, but I stayed in this Mbaku for 1 month plus before this particular training. And it was a very wonderful training to me. I learned so many things.
Our target on this mission is that we need to produce 51 million tons annually in table fish, and which we are capable. We are normally trained enough to carry it along.
After the tour is the formal graduation ceremony. The 150 trained table fish producers and the Deputy Governor, Dr. Onyeka Ibezim, representing the Governor, Professor Chikuma Soludo, join in the celebration. In their welcome addresses, the training coordinator and rector of the Polytechnic notes that Anambra State was selected as one of the 25 centers in the 15 ECOWAS countries and one of the 4 in Nigeria, supported by the Commission, to train young people in table fish production.
The 150 youths were trained on table fish production with connections with other segments of the value chain.
Throughout your time in the program, you have gained valuable knowledge about the field of study you have been training in, and we are confident that you are well prepared to move forward in that area.
There are other privileges that come with their successful training, as the ECOWAS Commissioner announces them as ambassadors of the aquaculture project.
Vibrant youth, ladies and gentlemen, by receiving your certificates today, you become ambassador of change in your community.
The Deputy Governor hands over the new ambassadors to ECOWAS Commission and charges them to make positive impact with the skill they have acquired.
These students undergone a very thorough and rigorous training, and by your standards, they have been found worthy, both in learning and in character. We hereby present them to you.
Agro and fishery production is part of key components of the 4 strategic objectives of ECOWAS Commission for the period of 2022 to 2026. It's a comprehensive strategic framework for sustainable fisheries and aquaculture development that will enable member states contribute to the achievement of the overall goal of ECOWAS for the satisfaction of food needs of the people.
And that's it on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.